Folks, buckle up, because Jaguar just drove their brand straight into the twilight zone, or perhaps even into bankruptcy. Most likely into bankruptcy. I think they were already living in the twilight zone. In a move that absolutely nobody asked for, Jaguar's rebrand essentially ditched cars altogether. And I know that sounds radical and untrue, but I mean, they're focused on everything but the cars, but the vehicles that they're producing. Instead, they unveiled a marketing campaign featuring people, creatures. I mean, it's hard to say because they all look like they're rejects from a Hunger Games movie. These are the people that were too weird for, well, them to even cast in the first place. And naturally, online, people vented and criticized and did so appropriately because this is such a departure. Everybody's really tired of the neo-Marxist woke garbage that, has been put out by almost everybody and was widely rejected, especially in a recent leadership selection here in the United States. Now, that doesn't seem to influence a lot of these corporate entities around the globe, but it should, because you want to make us your primary market, and we're saying no to this trash. But instead of, addressing the feedback, the healthy criticism, and the absolute rejection of your neo-Marxism, Jaguar's boss, Adrian Mardell, who, again, we're going to go into detail on later in this video, went into full defense mode. He called the critics vile and intolerant and a whole lot of other things, going on an ad hominem attack spree, because obviously this is the way to sell luxury automobiles. Just alienate over 50% of the target country you're aiming these cars at. And again, that substantial portion of the population actually has money, not the people that you have slivered into, marketing to people who don't have money and are odd to begin with. And of course, if that wasn't enough, Mardell actually decided to recently name drop Nigel Farage, who was rather critical of the brand, saying that people like him are not their core demographic. You mean, what? Huh? First of all, rich people aren't your demographic anymore? You don't want the people with the money who can afford to buy this overpriced piece of junk that may look decent? I don't even know yet. We haven't seen the car. And second, who is your demographic now? Instagram influencers who think that car engines are powered by good vibes and herbal tea? I don't think so. Look, Jaguar has a very rich history. It was once a symbol of British engineering at its apex. It had class. It had luxury. There was something to it that was intangible, and it was desirable. But now they're actually swapping out that for what? That feeling of unattainableness, I guess, if that's a word, for what? Coffee showrooms? That's what they're going to turn dealerships into. Coffee showrooms with art installations, and a place that even in their own marketing said most of these people wouldn't show up. I don't think anybody's going to show up now. You don't sell cars there. I mean, what's next? A lifestyle brand aimed at what? Yoga mats? Look, that's not far from, reality, to be fair, and kind of the direction they're going. You can't say this is a good thing by, pushing a brand into everything. You want Jaguar coffee? You want Land Rover tea? I don't know about that, but that's probably where they're trying to go. And speaking of art installations, it actually looks like the first opportunity to see this car is at the Miami Art Week. Of course, this is always where you should drop your first look at a car, at an art show, not an actual car show, and we're going to talk more about that later as well. But this Rawdon Glover, and yes, that's his name, and be careful how you say it because it could sound really wrong, is aiming in the face of criticism to confidently display this car at Art Week and thinking that debut will silence doubters. Well, I doubt that. Jaguar's managing director, Rawdon, not going to say his last name because, again, got to be careful with that, says no one has been talking about Jaguar for years. Now we have the eyes of the world upon us. And yes, you do, but not for a good reason. You don't have a car to show them yet, and you showed them one of the worst commercials I've ever seen. I wasn't even clear you were talking about a car. Had the name not been there, I would have assumed this was like some weird Target commercial from 5 years ago. I don't think anybody wants that either. I know Target doesn't because they're making every effort to re-ingratiate themselves to the American audience by getting rid of a lot of nonsense and actually saying Merry Christmas in their stores. So what's the excuse for all of this alienation? Well, we need a younger audience, says this brilliant human. I mean, I'm saying that with, an air of facetiousness and completely tongue-in-cheek. I'm going to tell you right now, good luck. Good luck, because younger audiences don't buy Jaguars. They don't. They don't have the means nor interest. You've never marketed yourselves to them in a way that is consumable, and they certainly aren't in pursuit of these material items when they can't even afford a house. These are the customers that you would target for scooters or for the dream of owning a Tesla one day, which is substantially less expensive than your similar looking vehicle, which I imagine you're just a mock-up of what Tesla didn't make. Meanwhile, your loyal customers, the ones who actually buy cars, are watching this circus and heading straight over to BMW or Lexus or Mercedes or another more powerful brand that you envy now because you've let yourself dwindle away into nothing. If it weren't for Land Rover, Jaguar would be completely dead, and I'm not sure how much longer Land Rover is going to last. And according to recent polls, 38% of people that were queried, I guess there were like 941 of them, said that Jaguar's rebrand is weird. 34% of the people responding said confusing, and 17% say it's irrelevant. That's 89% of the people saying you screwed up and you haven't even shown off the car yet. That's almost the entire audience at this point waving a red flag saying, stop. But will Jaguar listen? No! They're revving up to debut a concept car that looks to me like it's a ripoff of the Chrysler Crossfire from a few years ago. And again, they're doing it in Miami. And again, not in a normal place like a car show. This is miles away across the pond from where they should be doing it in the UK. That's where they built their reputation. Nothing says we've lost the plot completely than a desperate attempt to appeal to a niche market that's thousands of miles away from your origin. None of that makes any sense to me. Worse yet, this is affecting the company internally. They've gone absolutely crazy, and it's making the upper management very worried and threatening. A recent leak of an internal memo, courtesy of YouTuber M Guy Australia, which you should check out, his channel's in the description down below. They're actively threatening their own employees to stop talking. In fact, they don't even want them to talk to each other in any kind of critical way because they're going to call it hate. In fact, here's the memo right here. Two global colleagues, a shared vision powered by unity. JLR. This is the letterhead that went out on Friday, November 22nd, apparently late in the day. And, dear JLR team, our new Jaguar brand has been introduced to the world this week. The work of the team has been guided and inspired by the timeless quote of Jaguar's founder, Sir William Lyons, a copy of nothing. Well, yeah, we saw it in the commercial tied to absolutely nothing, and it didn't resonate with anyone. Also, if you look into this fella, Mr. Sir William, you'll find out that he would be losing his lid right now over this stuff, and especially over them using his words. I'm also reminded, this memo goes on, of another quote from Sir William. The car is the closest thing we will ever create to something that is alive. And again, from a certain perspective, I understand that, but from a neo-Marxist perspective and one of these, caught up in the message individuals, well, that's probably true because you're not going to have children, right? This humanistic, organic connection to everything that carries the Jaguar brand has never been more evident. We are custodians of something very special, which we've thrown in the trash in pursuit of something else. To the fabric of popular culture, Jaguar, the Leaper, which you're actually steering away from. Have you seen the logo? The spirit of the great British brand, which we've destroyed here in India, because that's where everything is being centered from. In this context, the visceral response to the reimagining, another fancy neo-Marxist word for tearing down what was originally there to replace it with our copy in our image so that the history of the popular brand is destroyed. Neo-Marxism. Disney's doing it to the extreme, so be prepared for that thing to collapse too. The reimagining of the Jaguar brand is understandable, inspiring even. To who? To people like Larry Fink, who are working to destroy and weaken everything they possibly can so it's easier to manipulate and control? Maybe so. But for all the joy and excitement, there has been an undercurrent of unacceptable behavior this week. While I welcome all constructive debate and critique of our polarizing plans, they know it's dividing it into a tiny little niche that'll lead to the company's destruction. But they don't care. It's more about the message than it is about anything else. It's more about weakening something that was strong and traditional to replace it with this messaging neo-Marxist garbage. I have to stand in front of the colleagues who have been singled out for their individuality. Well, it sounds like you got a lot more freak shows than we even saw in the commercial. Some even wrongfully identified for work that was not theirs, all because some people outside JLR find it challenging. You mean we're offended, alienated, and now you've actually created yourself into a laughingstock? I don't know. Understand that we will not hesitate to take action against anyone displaying discriminative behavior or language. You're already doing that. In this rebranding, you've been discriminative. You've abandoned anything that would be traditional and recognizable. You've used odd language and quotes out of context. I don't know. Seems offensive to me. Either in person or online. And this is where we get to something that reportedly is happening internally. They have a chat platform that Mr. H talked about in his video recently on the same subject that is called Jabber or something. It allows them to chat back and forth like Slack or something. But I guess some interesting interactions have been taking place there, either during work hours or outside. So now they want to control the employees outside of the workplace. Well, good luck with that. If you tried it in the States, there'd be some backlash and you could be held accountable by your work. But at the same time, you're opening yourself up to discrimination and First Amendment conversations, regardless. Investigations and actions are ongoing into activity we have all observed this week. Oh, look out. You're going to lose your job, or just plain shut up, because we don't want this. We don't want the world to realize we're panicking in here. Rekindling Jaguar's soul. Didn't need it. You just needed to have maintained it. And rekindling Jaguar is easier than destroying its soul, which is what you're actually doing. Is not the work of any one individual. Well, it should be. You need a visionary leading this. You don't need a neo-Marxist kind of letting everybody play with the clay. And has been created with love and care by many hands. Well, so far I disagree. I'm looking forward to seeing the car. I could not be more proud of each and every one of the several thousand brilliant people who have been a part of the reimagining of the Jaguar brand. This is weird stuff. This last bit here, I understand why Mr. H is critical of this particular paragraph. I'll break it down the way I think it's supposed to go, but this is a collective reinvention. Bing, 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 bing. Collective, authoritarian, neo-Marxist. Pick out another word. It is it's socialism or communism. Pick them out. This is what they want. Designed not to be all things to all people. Wait a minute. It needs to be targeted at the broadest possible audience to regenerate interest in your brand. It has not been. It's been entirely niche, generated to create divisiveness, polarizing in its own nature, and create, a lack of interest in this from the people who actually can afford it. I'm going to reread this. Designed not to be all things to all people, but to make a bold statement. Well, you made a statement. Bold, I don't know. But I think it's funny, all the buzzwords being thrown in here and the one that's coming up next. We are carving out a stunning, I added the word stunning and brave, sustainable future for one of the great brands of our generation. Your vehicle is being mass-produced using, carbon-generating fuel of some sort. And it's supposedly going to be electric, but still requires lubrication, plastics, rubbers, and all kinds of other things that are built into cars. So you're still using oil products. You may be using less, but what you don't realize is when you generate electricity, usually by some carbon producing form, using carbon producing products to lubricate, etc., you're not getting away from this. And oftentimes the energy required to make this car in the first place is far more intensive and will never recover the entire use life of the vehicle. Most people don't understand that. I can't wait for you to see what the team will show next to show you next. That's Adrian. And who's Adrian exactly? If you're wondering, it's this sweaty little guy right here. That's right. Look at him. I think he's at, this is actually a picture from the British LGBT Awards there with, look at that interviewer. Wow, what a professional. Anyway, let's dive into what happened with this. Well, Adrian Mardell was basically nominated to be one of the top 12 business allies at this award show. Interestingly enough, and not shown here, he won. That's right. British LGBT Awards, exciting news. Adrian Mardell, the Chief Executive Officer at Jaguar Land Rover, JLR, has made it to the shortlist for the British LGBT Awards in the Business Allies category. And again, he did end up winning. This is shortly after he actually became the CEO. Before that, he had been acting CEO and one of the biggest activist voices from within Jaguar Land Rover. I know you're surprised by that, and I don't really care. Good for you. But it just speaks to where their focus is because of all of the efforts that they're doing, both internally and externally. And here in the States, people are starting to walk all of this stuff back because it's too much, it's undesirable, and it is seriously doing things to society. Once again, he became the CEO in 2023, and he's been pushing the car brand specifically far away from its customer base ever since. But at least we now understand what changed, what the new direction is all about. It's about the message and the terror that they are experiencing internally for going so wildly against their customers, and how the upper management is struggling and trying to keep all of that hidden, keep it all internal, keep people from panicking and sharing anything outside. I mean, mark my words, this is absolutely going to bomb harder than the Bud Light marketing blunder of, a little over a year ago. And they are still trying to recover, having 2 consecutive years of losing product space in groceries and convenience stores with that particular brand of beer. Jaguar may wonder why their sales tank, but they're 100% going to blame intolerance, which they're actually doing themselves by, throwing out mean things at all of us. They're already preparing for the catastrophe that's about to happen and the likely bankruptcy, because I don't think they're going to do anything different with Land Rover than they've done with Jaguar. And I think that both of those brands are going to go downhill, with only a few wine moms still wanting their Range Rover or Land Rover. I think both of those particular overland vehicles are toast, because most people are driving them in the city anyway. This will go down in history as one of the brands that traded what they had for the chaos inspired by the institutional investment houses who are bent on manipulating everything. So, those are my thoughts on the Jaguar disaster. What are yours? Let me know in the comment section down below, and when you're down there commenting why this cat will no longer prowl, because Jaguar is likely to be dead, make sure that you're still subscribed to the channel. And if you're not, or if you've never been subscribed, take the opportunity now to hit the subscribe button. It's absolutely free. It costs you nothing, and it does help me out on my journey to 50K. And in advance, I thank you, because about 64% of people right now will watch the video and not be subscribed, and it doesn't cost you anything. And if you turn on notifications, you'll never miss anything, which is good. Also, if you watch one of my videos right after this one, it almost guarantees you'll see my videos more consistently. As always, be sure to take care of yourself, take care of others, wash your hands because it's good hygiene, especially this time of year. And until next time, see ya.